Right, preparing for the valuation. So there's some key things that you need to do in order to prepare for the valuation when it comes to bridging finance if you're doing below market purchases or refurbs, for example. So the first thing that you should always look to do is a valuation pack. Now, some people say that valuation packs don't work, some people say that they do. From my perspective, I would say it's always worth doing a valuation pack for a couple of reasons. So the first one is if you're bringing on a private investor, for example, you're going to be creating a pack for them to look at, for them to invest anyway. So doing that as well as a valuation pack at the same time, you can use the same information across both. So I think it's a good habit to get into, to create these packs for every single deal that you're looking at and that you're pushing forward. Because naturally when you get into the bigger deals, you're going to have investors saying, well, what have you done previously? That's when you can pull out the valuation packs that you've done before or investor packs that you've done before, and then obviously show them quickly and easily what you've done before. When it comes to managing the estate agent, this bit is key because when you're purchasing below market value, there is a tendency for the valuer to value the property at purchase price. So let's say, for example, you find something that's worth £200,000 and you offer £150,000 and you get it. There is a tendency from the valuer to go and take essentially the easy route on the deal. And they will go and they say, well, this property is only worth what someone's willing to pay for it. So you've offered 150, you've got it for 150, that property must be worth £150,000. When I say about managing the estate agent, you need to make sure that the estate agent doesn't tell the valuer the purchase price. There is no obligation for anyone to tell the valuer the purchase price. They're under no obligation to tell them what you've offered, etc. So from the agent's perspective, you can go to them, you can approach them, you can say, well, look, we've offered 150 on this, we're worried that the valuer is going to value it at purchase price, so don't tell him what we've offered on it and just tell them what it's listed for. So it's listed for £200,000. It's then up to the valuer for them to go out and make a decision, well, what is this actually truly worth? And that's when you get a legitimate valuation rather than a easy route valuation, which is just saying, well, this is what you paid for it, this is what it's worth. So that's where you need to manage the agent, the vendor, just to make sure that no one goes and tells the value of the purchase price. And we work with the lender to ensure that the lender doesn't tell them what the purchase price is. Because obviously what we don't want to do is for the deal to fall down because you found a below market value, but then actually it turns out that you're buying it for just what the valuer says it's worth. So we try and manage all these people throughout the process to ensure that no one tells the valuer what the purchase price is. When it comes to the refurb, when you're preparing your valuation pack, you need to ensure that you've got a breakdown of the build costs, maybe some plans of what it is now versus what it's going to be when it's finished, some CGIs, because when the valuer goes out to begin with, they're not going to be able to visualise, like you are, what that property is going to look like when it's finished. You know what you want it to look like when it's finished, but trying to portray that to the valuer is very difficult. So keeping it simple for them is probably the best way to proceed. So making sure that you've got a valuation pack that's got before and after CGIs, because you're not obviously going to have pictures of after until after it's finished, but making sure you've got the before photos versus the CGI is always a good place. A breakdown of the build costs as well, because they'll want to understand how much you're spending on it, and then just some general information about some comparables that you've seen nearby. The comparables, 9 times out of 10, they're going to completely ignore them and go and do their own thing anyway. But at least if you've got it in there, you've got something which, when you present the valuation pack, just gives it a bit of background and a bit of evidence as to how you've arrived at the figures you've arrived at. But that's everything that you should do to prep for a valuation.